Well, hi, I'm Shawna.
And I'm Nancy.
And we are the guides of Stronger Together. And we want to spend some time talking today about alignment. It's our topic for this month on our app, Delightfully. So Nancy, I want to start us with a question for you. Being a yoga instructor and a Reiki master, how do you work with the practices of alignment in general?
Well, there are different ways that I align myself. And because of yoga, I really feel real fast when I'm not in alignment. I teach 5 days out of the week. So if I'm too much in my head, what happens? Then the tree is like the worst asana you want to be in because you fall out. And I tell my people too why I fall out. It's like, I'm too busy in my head, and so I'm not rooted down, I'm not grounded. So to help them when they experience it, but it can be the case. Sometimes you fall out, right? But I realize in the tree, I'm too busy with thinking I have to do this, I have to do that. I'm not doing yoga right now, because I'm too much in my head. So what I do is I lower the breath, and when I lower the breath, like now I'm excited, I'm telling a story, so the breath is up high. You're then also in your emotions. And by lowering the breath, it's like you get into the core of who you are. You calm down, it's easier to balance things out. And the more you do it, the more you get connected to that point of being in alignment. So yoga really helps me to do that. What about you?
Yeah, I love yoga. I think I relate to the falling out of the tree position. So I'm a self-identified nerd. I love to learn. I love to research things. And I think for me, I always need some kind of a framework to put new information or experiences in. And when I was thinking about alignment, see, I said thinking, not feeling, right? That tells you right there where I go first. I'm like, I need a place to put this in my mind and my understanding, so I understand the physical cues that I get within my body. So I made a chart. Because that's what I do. So if you look over here at the top, it says alignment, and alignment has to deal with all the different dimensions of who we are as a human being. So of course we have our body, right? And that's where we feel emotions, pain, and other sensations. And then we have our mind, and that would be where we talk about having thoughts, our energy landscapes, and our consciousness. And the third part of who we are as a person is the spiritual side. So it's referred to as our state of being, our higher self, and our connection to a higher power. Alignment has to do with all three of these components, body, mind, and spirit, all being in alignment with the same energy and the feelings and the thoughts, all aligning with our higher self. So for me, when I think about alignment, it's how are those three aspects of myself connecting to one another? And when I have all of those three, that's like in the yoga position where you are in that place and you're doing your tree and you can balance. There's that real sense of at peace.
Yeah.
Really. So if I did yoga 24 hours a day, I think I'd be good. But obviously that's
not life.
That's not life.
No.
So maybe we could switch gears now that we have a more of a, basic understanding of alignment. What do we do when we're incongruent, when there's something that's not in alignment, when we're off our mat? So what do you notice in your daily life?
Well, what I do to get into alignment is I do use the oils, and I use the oil so often because then it helps me to anchor a certain feeling to get in alignment, because we always have those little trigger points and we know where the trigger points are. So if you work on the trigger points with your oils to, anchor that feeling that you want to have instead of, being triggered to the calmness within. And sometimes with certain oils, I only have to think of the oil and it helps me already to calm down, get into myself, lower my breath, lengthen the breath too. Really take in life by using the breath. And it's like it's the air that you bring in. It's like I'm allowed to be here in this space. This is who I am. And use your oil with doing that to really help you. And it depends, in what mood you are, which oil you want to use for that.
I like that.
So what do you do?
I think I have a similar process of obviously using oils to bring me into that space. I think for me, I notice incongruency. I think it hits me first in my thoughts. I'll have thoughts of insecurities or fears that really block me, that really stop me from action. I get really paralyzed with negative thoughts. And so that's usually my first sign that there's an incongruency happening, because I'm stuck. So then I have to like argue with myself.
You
right?
argue, yeah.
Yeah, I feel
You
like,
argue, I feel.
yeah, I'm like, hey, wait a minute, that's not true. Or is that feeling true? No, that's not a true thought. And so I really have to work through that. And that's for me why affirmations are so helpful, because it's helping me reframe those negative thoughts with what's really true about myself. So that's the spiritual side of myself, right? My higher self, calling me to who I really am, and reminding my mind, right? And the feelings I have in my body to align with that. And anchoring that with an oil and affirmations has really helped me a lot to release a lot of feelings and thoughts that really have become limiting beliefs, and to step into who I know I really am. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely. Funny thing is, I do a lot of affirmation in the car. When I'm in my car, I do like one after the other. You know, I don't know why, but it's in the car. I love doing that. You know, one after the other.
So that's a great time to do it, right?
Yeah, it is.
As long as you can focus on driving.
Oh yeah,
right?
definitely. But it really does something to me. It brings me something while I'm in my car driving and doing one affirmation after the other one.
So if we talk a minute about our thoughts, there's a lot of different terminology that we have in society for who are we arguing with.
Yeah, the ego, monkey mind.
Or the inner critic, jackal. If you're into nonviolent communication, that's what they call it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's always some kind of name that we have for the false sense of self that we have.
In yoga, it's really the ego and the monkey mind.
Yes, so we've talked a little bit about being out of alignment, and let's talk about triggers in our daily life of what can really knock us off our game in terms of alignment. And like you said, you know, then life takes over. And then there are those times where we're working through some kind of resistance, and it's necessary. It's necessary to work through that.
Yeah, it's a growing process.
Yeah.
It's like there are our lessons, right? It's not in, you know, things are going well and, you know, we don't really learn from that. We learn from more or less the negative things in life. And how do we deal with it? Do we take it on, you know, in ourselves? Or how I see it is like, okay, these are the cards that, you know, whoever is bigger than us gave me. And even if I think it's not fair, but how do I make the best out of the cards that whatever gave me? How do I do the best with that? So I take myself out of the victimhood, like, oh, I should not be here, that's not okay, and blah, 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 blah. I could have been there too, though, especially when I was younger. I could be a drama mama at a certain point. I would call my girlfriend and we would laugh later. I would call and say, I was drama, wasn't I? So sometimes it's nice to be there. And, you know, sometimes I'm also, when I'm not in alignment, you know, I tell my daughter, I was Shawna yoga-like, and I need that sometimes. You know, I'm not a swami, I'm not a guru. So I accept that part of me, but I don't stay there. You know, you don't want to stay in that negative thing. So then look at my cards. Okay, this is what I have. How can I make the best of what I have right now?
As you were talking, I was thinking, there's a point in which there's that constant, I think this is what oils have taught me, mirroring what we see in nature of releasing before you receive, right?
Yeah.
And so another way that oils work with us is within energy, raising the vibrations within us.
Yeah.
If you think about everything is energy, our more negative emotions, I do this because I don't like to label things good or bad, but the sadness and the fear emotions that we carry, they vibrate on a lower plane, right? And then the happiness and joy, those are up. So one thing oils do if you use them is it actually raises your energy in your body, and it makes those other feelings and thoughts incompatible. So you got to get them out. You got to release that resistance, and that can take a lot of forms, right? So I mean, have you heard lately about the rooms where people just go and smash things? Like you can go and like get like a big hammer and you just can break everything in the room. That's kind of a release, right?
Well, it depends. It would not be my release.
It wouldn't be mine either.
But I can see people having a good feeling out of that.
Yeah. Or a good cry.
Yeah.
You have all this pent up energy and you need to go run really fast. But there's some kind of time that's needed sometimes to just get that energy out.
Yeah, and it doesn't always have to be something really big, something major. As a young girl, I sang a lot. And later I found out that singing the vibration of singing calms your body. Didn't know that I was doing it at that time.
So singing is another way of
Yeah.
Yeah. So just turning on the radio, your favorite song, and dancing and singing.
Dance.
Yeah.
I mean,
So there's a lot of ways that we naturally do it to get this excess resistance or energy out in terms of that process of alignment. So we can be out of alignment in our thoughts, we can be out of alignment in our feelings, but it always comes back to a sense of that calling to who we really are and staying true to that person and taking steps forward, either making sure our mind and our body stay in focus of our truer, our higher self. So one more example, you talked about how you anchor with just even thinking of an oil. I've talked a little bit about affirmations with oils. Do you notice yourself using them more to keep yourself in alignment, or do you use them more when you realize, oh, dang, I need to get myself back into that groove?
well, I use them every day. I use it for all kinds of things. And it really depends on how I feel, which oil I want to get and what I want to use. But the core of it is always getting to the core of who I am.
Yeah.
You know, if I either want to stay there or that I need that for that moment.
I agree with that. And I would say too, learning that intuitive side of us where our body will tell us what it needs.
Yeah.
Our body will be drawn to a certain oil and we may not even know why.
And then you read it and you're like, oh, that's why I need it.
Yeah. So there's also that intuitive side with oils, is also gaining that awareness, letting that also be our guide.
Yeah, and then we're so much more in touch with nature than we think of, that we really or feel of. Because we always think that we have to learn certain things. And you know, that's the funny thing with people picking out an oil and then you read for, especially of the emotional side, or you tell them like, oh, I didn't know, but that's why I needed it.
So on our app Delightfully, every day you and I post one way that people can use oils and alignment practices to build those up in their own lives. So if you're in our challenge alignment, all you need to do is just log in and just go through and pick the ones that you want to try. And every day for the rest of this month, we'll be posting one a day.
Yeah.
Just for people to get an idea of what they can do with oils, how oils interact with these different practices. We've done things with affirmations, with journaling. We're going to do more with meditation. We're going to do more with, we talked about yoga. Every day we'll just post one more. Share your experiences.
Yeah, because we learn from each other. So it's really nice to hear your story too.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining.